This presentation is for people who have used Moodle a bit so far. They've got some stuff set up on some pages and they're aware that they can do more with Moodle, and they're aware that they can make students engage a little bit more thoroughly with Moodle, and they just want to know how. So what we're going to look at is fixing the most common problems with pages, get some more engaging layouts, perhaps have a little look at getting some better content in place, and then there's the option of looking further than that even and looking at that interactive and co-constructive stuff. So the problems that I typically see when I look at courses that are already existing on Moodle is that they can be really difficult to use for students. Quite often it's just a long, boring list of documents. It's very hard to find the correct document. It can be real messy. The layouts of the topics can be stuff just scattered all over the place. If you've been using it a lot, the scroll of death could be happening, where just the page is so long, again contributing to making stuff hard to find. Quite often there's dead wood in there, files which you put up a few months ago, didn't quite get around to taking down again. Just generally overall unprofessional. So let's look at what we can do. First thing that I see an awful lot is the use of topic 1, topic 2. Here's a pretty ugly page of mine that really needs a lot of love. But if you look at what I've got here, each of the topics is named according to the something. It has something meaningful. So the standard number and what it actually is. And that means that, for instance, I can see down this list on the left hand side the names of the topics. Topic 7, topic 8, topic 9, I don't like that at all. So if you just want to hop in and change those, you need to have your editing on and click on the little icon, untick use default section name and meaningful title here. Consistency is something we can really aim for. Inconsistent layouts, inconsistent naming, it just makes life so much easier for the students. Is that whenever they go to one of your pages, everything is laid out pretty much the same. So if you've got headings, what the one I was just looking at here, quite noticeable that looking at these topic headings down the side, I've got the standard number and the name of it. That's great. But I didn't put the standard number on this one. Don't know why. It would have been so straightforward to do that. And it just takes away from that ease of use. They just makes it a little bit harder for them to read and understand. These ones which are currently hidden, those old unit standards, were named well. Inconsistent layout of the topics. So in one area you can have nice clean list of you might have like things in folders in one place and things not in folders in another place. Really put some thought into why you've chosen to do what you've done in terms of laying things out. Students will take the cues from what they see. If things are laid out in one place, in one way in one place and a different way in another place, then they'll think there's meaning to that. They might have to treat those resources differently, and it might be because you just couldn't be bothered being consistent. Badly named resources is probably the most common problem. So you've got names on your resources that you've dragged across there that were meaningful to you when you put them up there, but when you put them in the context of the rest of the page, they don't really tell the student what it is and what use they're going to find for it. There is overhead. If you've got documents on there, lots of PowerPoints and docs and so on, it can be a pain, especially if they're on a mobile device, to download and view those documents. And if they've got to make a choice from 5 different documents and it's not clear which is the right one, they probably just won't bother at all. So it's really important to name things correctly. And it's trivial to do that. If you're in here, let's find something that is named quite badly, shall we? Student assessments activity, that's terrible naming. I click on this little icon here, I can say this is the activity relating to students' assessments. It was actually it's not to do with a specific assessment on this one, it was just a database that included a lot of assessment. And of course, Professionalism means not misspelling things. So if I just go back to here, students realting, let's start getting this kind of thing right. Do see a lot of unprofessionally named stuff. It's so easy to just double check. Pointless text. Welcome to my page. You know, that might be vaguely useful the first time they ever go there. Let's assume they go there more than once in the whole year though. Put text up there that's meaningful and useful for the students, not just boilerplate introductory kind of text that they're never going to read. It's a good idea to have folders. If you've got a whole lot of documents that are related to the same idea, see if I can find an example of some folders here. So this folder here, student data, has got a couple of files in it. So it keeps things tucked together nice and neatly. Let's find another one. US 278 files, student files needed for assessment, and I've got those 4 files. So it takes away from the scroll of death and keeps it nice and clean and tidy for the students. And poor ordering is quite common as well, where it's not clear to the student whether the order is top to bottom or left or bottom to top or whatever, and it's very fixable. If we just go back to my page here and say let's just, I didn't want this to be here, this should be below the SSO resources, I can just pick it up and drag it and drop it down there, put it back again. Oops, wrong place. Yep, so that's covered a lot of that ground. So those are all very fixable things. So one of the main things that you should do is, if you're not sure how the page looks, is go down the bottom left here and switch role to student, and then you get a really good view of what the students actually see without everything being hidden and without all of the fluff around these things. So I've got a lot of hidden documents in that access database section, so suddenly it looks a lot better. Not available, that looks pretty bad. So it highlights the things that you do need to fix. When you're in this view, it's a good idea to critically look at this and say, you know, if I was a student and looking at this page right now, how straightforward would it be for me to decide what resource is going to be useful for me? And quite often it will flag up that some stuff shouldn't be there, that some stuff should be renamed, and that you should group things more intelligently. You'll notice what I've done here. I've used a label. This is not a clickable kind of thing. This is just a label that I've put in place to say all of these things here are related to SSO. And I've also indented each of these just to highlight that they all sit underneath this heading. Just small things like that can make your page so much more useful, and the students will actually use it, as opposed to, and you've got to think of the context that they're looking at it. You know, they're quite often going to be not giving it their full attention. It could be at revision time and all the rest of it, and we all know the feeling when you're sitting down to do some work and you just got quite reluctant, and they could scroll up and down here a few times. Maybe they inadvertently download the incorrect documents a couple of times, and then they just give up and they'll go away and do something else. So you've got to make it as easy and straightforward for them to read, like having a document called customers. If it's 3 months later and they're doing some revision, what does that mean to them? 0. Teachers, 0. These should be together. They should be in a folder that's meaningful, that tells them what they need to know. And, you know, it's so easy to see that when you actually look at it through the eyes of a student. So renaming, reordering things, using that indentation. I'll just quickly show you how that actually works. I'll go back to return to my normal role, turn editing on. And if I want to move stuff across, I can move right, and that would just indent that one level, or move left. Very easy. And the labels thing, we looked at that briefly. I will just quickly show you how to do that one right here. Say I had I wanted to highlight the assessment information down here, so I'm going to add a resource which is going to be a label. And I'm going to put in here assessment, and while I'm here I'm going to make it a bit bigger and bolder than the other things. I think heading 2 would be good. So assessment resources I'll put here, and save and return to course. Now of course that's put it at the bottom, so I just need to very quickly drag that up to there, and I'll just move this to the right and move this one to the right, and now I can see that those two resources are related to that assessment. So very quick and easy to do, especially when you're confident with what you're doing. And you can say, okay, obviously I need to put assessment files there. Not hard, makes a big difference, bigger than you'd imagine. Also, grid format. Grid format's really useful. It hasn't been around too long, and I'll show you how we could use it. In fact, I'll show you a slightly different example. If I go Technology Year 13, a different course, this is one that I've actually put a little bit more time into, 13Com. This, I'll turn editing off. This course has got grid format. So I've got programming section, computer science section, databases, web development section. Click on the programming. It pops up in a little lightbox window, and you can see it's just a lot easier to use, so I don't have to scroll through the entire page to get to where I want to go. So to Technology Year 13, go back to that 13 CIT page, and it's a really easy thing to turn it on. So if I go into Edit Settings and I say Course Format, change to Grid Format, and also a really good idea to change the number of sections to a meaningful, the actual number that you've got. In this case, I think I've only got 3 sections currently live, so save changes. So now I've got a nice clean course here, and click on something and it comes up just like that, just so much better. Of course, what you're going to want to do is have a nice picture like I had. If you're going to change image, and you can just drag an image file into here, and it will actually resize it and crop it for you, so you don't have to be precious about getting exactly the right image and resizing it to what you want. Just drag any image across. If you don't like it, change it. You do have the option as well, this general section of moving that into the grid as well. So I've only got 4 sections here. I quite like that general section, having it on top here, so that you've got the general and that sort of weekly planner and assessment, course assessment guide in there as well. So yeah, so fixes the scroller, there's quick visual navigation, and it's more engaging when you see the picture. It's just easier for them to navigate. When they come back to it, you follow those visual cues much more easily than you read text to find something. So more engaging content. It's getting out the dead wood, keeping the good stuff that you're going to use for the revision, having YouTube and ETV things in there, and inline presentations. A good example of that is this presentation that we're doing right now. Rather than having that as a PPT or PPTX which they download, actually sticking it inline into a page makes it much easier for the students to engage with it, and also it's loads easier on, for example, mobile, which is a pretty important context. So I do a lot of screencasting, just like I'm doing right now. The reason I do it is because it's easy, and what it means that it's the specific stuff that I want to talk about with my students that I'm actually presenting to them. And now that we all have our own pakuranga.school.nz Gmail accounts, you can just have a YouTube channel, embed directly from there, very easy. So I recommend the use of the Moodle knowledge base. I've put a reasonable amount of time into setting this up, making lots and lots of little videos and things that will help you to do what you're going to do. That was a quick demonstration, and then after that you can do assignments checklist. They're really easy to do. Assignments for getting students to handwork in is so efficient. Checklist is a good way for students to monitor their own progress and tick off the things they've done. I like using glossaries. They're a good way for co-construction. Forums are hard. Quizzes are easy if you use the question banks, if you've got your departmental question banks working, and for all of those, see the Moodle knowledge base.